Richard.
How's it going?
Oh, 1 sec. Trying to use my headset here. Headset's not working, it seems.
No audio coming out of it?
Not connecting. Maybe it's broken.
Bluetooth as a technology is pretty disappointing. I have so much difficulty getting Bluetooth things to work.
This is a direct plug-in.
Oh, yeah?
Like ancient headset. Yeah. It's working now.
Yeah, I like stuff that's plug-in. If we just had like sort of better, like more ports, better ports, things that plug in could work pretty well. Stuff like everything's wireless and it's all like just so like glitchy.
Yeah, I find that what happens is that everything wants to connect. Like I have different devices that automatically want to connect, but if my phone is connected to another device, no, I have two phones. So sometimes the device will connect to the other phone and then not connect to my primary. So that's what I got to watch out for. But the phone is able to connect to multiple devices at the same time.
Stuff will like, if you turn on a computer, sometimes it like steals a device. Or I have this problem where I switch like operating systems on one computer and like the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth is always like getting interfered with. I think that like Windows will take over like the actual Wi-Fi chip itself, and then when I switch to like Linux, it can't get hold of like the Wi-Fi chip, and that's like like OSs like fight with each other on the same computer, which should not happen at all, I guess.
Speaking of OS and tech stuff, you work for Microsoft?
Yeah, I did.
You did. Whereabouts are you now?
In San Francisco. I'm working for Google basically at the moment.
Google. Okay. You ever thought about Apple?
Well, I really like Apple's stuff, but from what I know, the reason why their stuff is good is just that they have like a very intense like work culture, and they don't have a lot of stuff outside of like doing the job itself. What I hear is like every team that is at Apple is very like private, and employees don't like talk to each other about like what they're working on. And there's really like, I guess, kind of like a little bit of a grind to get stuff like super polished and pushed out on a certain schedule. And they don't get like really compensated beyond what other companies like. So it's basically more work for like the same or less pay. And
Okay.
not a whole lot of like, culture. And so I sort of feel like I think for me, it's like any company I ever work for, I'm left with like a bad impression of that company because you learn like what it's like inside, and they're all kind of like bad in different ways. And since I like Apple's products so much, I'm like not excited to learn how bad it really is inside. I'd rather just have this like suspended belief or whatever that like they're great and everybody's happy, and never learn the truth. Just enjoy their products for as long as they continue to function.
Yeah, I've heard different things. Like reading the book Inside Steve's Mind, apparently the design process isn't siloed, but there's collaboration, and yet the same book is saying that everything's very secretive and they're siloed. So it's like it's saying two different things. And like I get that they want to keep stuff secret because, well, different reasons, and they talk about it in that book. But if you're looking for a collaborative type culture, you may not get that there. I really did think that I was under the impression that everything is interconnected and the design goes and is looked at by the engineers, and there's sort of cross-pollination. I think they still do that. They should do
somehow
that.
somehow they do achieve that. Like all their products work together. So that is interesting. How do all their products work together so well, given that at any moment nobody really quite knows what's being developed.
They have their own processor now.
Yeah, all the way down to the silicon. I guess people call it like their own silicon because I guess they designed the silicon that lays out like the circuit for their own chip. And that chip
Yeah,
is like everything I've seen. Like I don't know where the trade-off is, but like that chip is really good at everything. It's so much faster than anything else. It's such a good chip, and it's not even like it's just good at all software. It's not even like exclusively just good at their computer, and it's like battery life is long. It's a fast processor. It's I guess it's just they took like a modern look at you know whatever chip architecture used to exist or does still exist, like was laid out so long ago that maybe they found ways to improve upon it given what modern software is like by just redesigning it from the ground up. But I guess it's interesting because like people actually seem to lose the ability to do that. I think I heard that people have tried to like just sit down and like design chips in a modern day, and there's like really nuanced things about the way electricity moves through wires that humanity has actually kind of like forgotten about. And if you design like a chip and you don't account for like the magnetism that will exist between like wires that are close to each other, then the chip like won't work on a high level. And people have to like know that stuff, like know these basic energy power like physics in order to design that stuff. And kind of like school, like if chips just exist and someone makes them, then schools don't really teach that foundational stuff so much. And so I thought that whole process was cool, but it sounds like they got a handle on it pretty well because their M1 and M2 chips are pretty nice.
yeah. I was looking at some of their Pro books at Costco, and it's a minimalist. It's small, light, compact, ultra powerful. Quite the price point though on that thing.
It's crazy how fast computers increase though. Like I had a MacBook Pro in like 2016, and then just last year I bought the MacBook Air, and the MacBook Air that I paid $1,000 for last year is more powerful than my MacBook Pro was in 2016. And so it's very interesting. It's like like the demand that I've had for software hasn't increased. Like I want to do the exact same things that I did want to do in 2016, and if I could do them on a MacBook Pro in 2016, then like the MacBook Air, like their cheapest, lightest model, is more powerful than 2016. So then I should, it's basically like I feel like at this point computers are so fast that it's like just get the cheapest one and it will meet our needs. Unless there's only one need, which is like they design like modern super heavyweight video games are obviously designed to like run on the most modern technology, so they're like targeting stuff that is intentionally heavyweight. But I find that there's games that I like to play, but usually the games that I enjoy the most are not like super modern, like the ones that came out this year. And so I don't know, like it feels like maybe if we wait like 5-10 years, maybe the MacBook Air will run like 2023's most heavyweight games by the time we have like the MacBook Air like 2040 or something like that, or 2030.
Yeah, I'm looking at just basic music recording and usage. I'm not going to be going all out. So if you're saying that the MacBook Air can handle that, then yeah, why not? Why not go for the cheaper one than pay the extra for something I'm not going to use, right?
Yeah, it's interesting with laptops because it's almost sometimes I almost feel like those MacBook Pros, the thing they will do, like the thing they maybe will do faster is like if you're like exporting like an hour long complete file, then maybe they'll do it like twice as fast or something. But it's like it's like, why not, for the cost savings and everything else, why not just like wait twice as long on the rare occasion where we have to like export like a whole file? And otherwise, if you're just doing like operations, just cutting together like a couple of minutes of song, there'll be like no noticeable difference, but like one will be like lighter. One is like lighter and generates like less heat almost, versus like the slightly heavier one that's like going to generate like more heat and then spin up fans and use more battery. So I don't know. I feel like they're like either equivalent, or like you save money and you save space and it's lighter, and the lighter one can handle it. It's very pleasing too to have the super light one, and to like, to try out different tasks and be like, yeah, that's fast enough. And then to think like, damn, like this thing is like $1,000, which is not so bad. And it's super light. It's just like, it's pretty incredible. Like whenever I take that laptop out, it's got such a good, like light, like a weight to it. Like it's just like very solid metal, does what I needed to do, works well, like looks nice. It's their laptops are so pleasing. Like that's like one of the objects that I get the most like enjoyment from just being around, is like a nicely made computer with just good software.
Really though, like having an unreliable computer when you need to do stuff is stressful. I
Yeah.
don't understand why. I really don't, but I don't know
I could
why it
guess
gets
why.
I don't get why it boils my blood.
Because it just
But
feels like it shouldn't be. It's like, it's very simple things that humanity like has solved in the past, and we've unsolved them because we've been lazy, and like software is breaking a lot these days when like it really doesn't. It's more complicated than it needs to be, and that means that it just wastes our time all the time.
yeah, like the work computer, it has a VPN, and some days, the moon isn't in the right place for it to connect. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. And it's fully connected, but yet then I still can't access Outlook. And there's so many like firewalls that the organization has built that just don't need to be there. Like YouTube has its merits. Like there's we can actually use it on some of the courses, and instructors tried to use some YouTube videos and are blocked out. I remember on some of my training that they couldn't use the YouTube videos, and I remember I wanted to play a YouTube video for some of the lessons I was teaching, and I just couldn't do it. Just a lot of firewalls, and that's an open system. Anything protected B is encrypted. So I don't understand the extra restrictions and safeguards and yada, yada, yada. We have a classified system that's separate, and we have an encrypted key for when we need to encrypt stuff. So why on this platform that we create all these restrictions, and it bogs down the system? As we know, complexity leads to chaos, right? And that's the thing I like about Apple, is that they work extremely hard to simplify things, make it dummy proof pretty much. Complex things made simple. And I love that. I don't like all the extra crazy stuff. Like when I look at a programming language, it's just a lot of them are so immense. I remember like when we were going through school, I liked assembly because it was, here's a book. Yeah, there's a lot that you can do, but I found that it was kind of not rigid, simpler. But then when you look at higher level when you look at higher level programming languages, holy shit! Like, how can someone even develop that? It is so complex, like it's just mind blowing. So I don't know if it was you or my other friend who was thinking about building their own operating system. No, language, their own language. I was just like, wow, you want to build your own computer language? Okay, by yourself. Is that you?
Well, I have an idea how to get it done in a very simple way, and actually, it relates to assembly as well, because there's an existing language called WebAssembly that can be executed by any like web browser. Like all these web browsers, they have the ability to run WebAssembly, and WebAssembly is similar to like a classic assembly language. Like it has like there's like a set of like 5 or 10 instructions that you can do anything you want with in WebAssembly. Like they're very all they are is just like saving and loading to memory or whatever, like these very simple instructions. But every web browser has the ability to just like run these WebAssembly things like by default. And so basically if I was going to write my own like quote unquote like programming language, I would make like a simpler to use like version. Like basically I would like my language would just be like a list of like assembly instructions, and when you like run my program, I would actually just swap out like the terms that I use, like push and pop and like save and load, like these words, and I would just replace them with like the WebAssembly instruction, and then I would run the program as like a WebAssembly program. And so then from like the user's perspective, they would think that like the language they're using, like my language, is like 10 instructions that are for manipulating memory. But really, they're actually just writing a simpler subset of WebAssembly, and I'm just doing the work of converting my language to WebAssembly and then running it and then giving them back the output. But like from their perspective, they feel like because that is how what every high level language basically is when you run you write like a program in a high level language and you run it, that program is just converted to some kind of complicated assembly program, which is then run. And so really like whenever any code runs, it's always in assembly at some point. But the higher level languages just made it like easier, more accessible than writing assembly directly. And so, but I really like assembly, and I just wish so I kind of had this. I've learned a lot about like WebAssembly in the past, and I sort of found the instructions I need, and then I was just too lazy to like put it all together. But I think this would be kind of a fun thing to make work someday.
Someday. Yeah.
Yeah, I just have to wait for like the right motivation, and then it would take me like 2 days to like get the rest of it into place, because it's only like 10 things that have to be done. But if I don't feel like it, then it feels too much like work if I don't feel like I want to have it work today. Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, at the moment my project right now is building a simple game I'm in a game jam it's due on November 1st. I'm gonna build like a 2D like top down game. There's like a 1 hour video of these two people going on a hike, and I'm just basically converting that like kind of directly to a game, where I'm taking like some of the dialogue they said and putting that in the game. And in the game you can like walk around I'm gonna do pixel art, and it's gonna be like a path that looks similar to their path.
2D, eh?
Yeah, it'll be like a grid. Like the game will be like top down perspective, and everything will be like a 32 by 32 pixel square, like a bunch of tiles. So your character will be like in one tile, and sort of like the way the Pokemon games movement worked, where like you can only walk like in a grid sort of layout.
Oh yes, yeah. I'm playing a game like that, Mega Man Legends. No, not Mega Man Legends. That's a game I
like
obviously that's a game I have on my mind. That's more 3D, Sony, PlayStation. But no, I'm talking about Final Fantasy Legends. Different than Final Fantasy. RPG, Japanese RPG, but it's has like monsters as a playable character that evolve as you play, which I think is quite neat. So I've been playing that, and I got all 3 of them, which is tough to find. It's really tough to find all 3. They're just the original Game Boy game, right? And it's simple, but also like the story is like well done. So with the first one, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Chrono Trigger, a little bit, just with one of the areas. And I don't want to give it away in case you want to play it, but it's really good. Like at the beginning, I was like, well, "Fuck this!" Like they didn't even put any effort into like the field when you're running around the world, because there was like you leave the main place, like the main city just has like an inn, like all the amenities, and that's it. Like there's nothing else. There's no houses where people live. There's no market. It's just your armor, your items, your inn, your resurrection. Like there's nothing. Like, and then I left the town, and it's just like white. That's it. Like there's nothing when you first leave it. Oh, again, you go a little bit south, then there's a river, and it was just plain. I'm like, well, this is fucking garbage, right? This is so big. And I go right, and then I start to see a little forest and some mountains, and like I'm playing. When I first played, I had a team of 4, as you're supposed to. It doesn't really explain to you that you can get team members right away, but so I played as you're supposed to. And then the second I beat the game, and I actually loved it. It was really well done. Basic, but well done. And then I played again with 1 character instead of 4. And oh my god, what a fucking ass pain that was trying to get going. Because like you're trying to take on 1 monster, and it's almost in my mind realistic. Like if I was gonna take on a monster 1-on-1 and go shot for shot with this, like I have like armor and a sword trying to take this monster on. Like yeah, like the goblin is giving me a hard time. Just one
But
goblin.
It's like turn-based or something.
Yeah, and like
that's the difficult part. Because in reality, you could use your environment more, like sneak attack and hide, dodge. But then
yeah,
you're in turn-based, you can't. You just stand there. That always frustrates me.
but it's like it's not Final Fantasy VI where you have your characters to the right. Or actually, many of the Final Fantasies where your characters are to the right or to the left, and you see the enemy characters there too. It's your characters are like you can see the icons, but you don't see them in the battle. What you see is the enemies up front. So it's kind of like Dragon Warrior. I thought Dragon Warrior was the first on Nintendo was the first RPG, official RPG. So it's like that style where you're running around and then there's an enemy battle that's triggered randomly based off a number of steps or whatever. And then you get the battle music, you got your menu, you got the enemy in front of you, and like the enemy when it attacks will flash, and then like there's a sound and it makes it like a damage sound, and then it shows like there's like a menu that shows okay, enemy attacked, you took 52 damage, your character's fucking dead, game over. Like so that's and when you attack it shows so it's like the battle is you're reading the battle and you're putting inputs in. And it's good. Like I enjoyed that style. But I'm going like 1-on-1 against a goblin, and the lizard. Like everything is like doing damage, and in this game, I think it's the only one like this. You, as a human, don't level up with experience points. You get stronger when you consume potions and put better armor on. So the inn. It's 1 gold for 1 hit point. So you say you have 60 hit points, and you take on a monster, and it does 40 damage to you. You only get 40 gold every time you kill a monster in the beginning of the game. So you have to beat the monster before it does a lot of damage to you. So you either increase your attack power, which is expensive. Weapons are expensive. And the potions to make you stronger are very expensive at the beginning of the game. Or you get better armor. The problem is that the first village world has gold armor, which is very expensive. So you're just like not even breaking even. But the problem is your weapons have like a durability. So you could run out of your weapon and then now won't be able to fight at all. So the trick is you got to go to an eastern village, not get killed by the Red Bull, because there's a bull that will just like two-shot you and you can't run away. So you go to this eastern village and you buy bronze stuff, which is dirt cheap, but it gives you just enough armor so that you can take on the lizard or the goblin. But if you get the Red Bull, he fucking kills you. So you have to like save often. And so you
Oh, there's
save.
that's all you can do to defend is just try to randomly not encounter him.
Yeah, once he comes, he can try to run, and you might be lucky and run. And then there's times you can't run, and it'll be like, can't run, hits you, can't run, hits you, can't run, hits you, you're dead. But the
Oh, if
thing
they
is
kill
like,
you, you go. Oh, I guess you just default to the last save if he kills you.
resets. Yeah, just resets you based off your last save. The second one's a bit different. You have a chance to be resurrected by Odin, the Norse god, king of gods. But in the first one, there's none like that. So you got to
That's
save
kind of weird
often.
because, like, if you encounter that bull, it's basically just like a delay to your progress. Like, there's no good outcome. It's just like maybe you'll have to go back to your last save randomly.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
can't.
if you can run,
It's weird.
if you can run, you're okay.
I guess that's a kind of
Sometimes you can.
exciting, like seeing whether you get to run or whether you have to like wait for the game to reset. If that's
Yeah,
kind of like a tension.
yeah, and then like so you try to fight it, and you don't do enough damage. It has a lot of hit points, and it does. The thing is, you kill this thing, you only get 40 gold. You don't get any extra experience points, so there's no point in beating that over, like say a lizard or a goblin. So eventually, you start saving up some gold. You go to the inn, and I realize if you buy potions, it's a better bang for your buck. So you get 3 potions for 50 gold, which gives you up to about 90 hit points. So that's better value, right? So you start realizing these things, and so you can accumulate gold faster. And then oh shit, now you got to buy a longsword for 132 gold because your longsword after 50 uses gets wiped out. So you're kind of moving around, and I knew what I had to do because with the first playthrough I had the 4 characters and I was fumbling around and I figured out what I needed to do. And in this one, okay, I knew what I needed to do. I knew what my first task was to go into the cave and take out the bandit king. Not really a king, but you know. And so I loaded up on potions and I went in there and I'm like, I'm trying not to get worn down before I make it to the boss. And I take on the boss and it's just RNG, man. Like with all the potions and just trying to take this thing down because it could poison you and now you're attacking it, but it does so much damage and you gotta like heal, and it has a defensive posture. So like it's poison skin, so just like it'll take hits, but then it'll poison you. So you want it to use poison skin, and you just attack it, attack it, attack it, attack it, attack it. It has quite a few hit points, right, as a boss. But if it hits you and it just goes into attack mode, you get fucked up. You'll chew through all your potions. So I had to like throw myself at this thing maybe 5 or 6 times before I killed it. Killed it, got some gold, enough to get some potions. Then I was able to access some items that were locked, which then I can equip and sell some shit. And then I was able to buy a gold piece of armor, which is funny because gold is not necessarily better than bronze, or it's just anyway. What it did get right though is the silver armor was more powerful than the gold armor, which was like, okay, the programmers knew their elements a bit. Still, I wouldn't really want to wear silver armor. So, got stronger, and eventually, because you beat that dude, you get what's called the King's Armor. And the King's Armor for beginning of the game is OP, mega overpowered. So nothing's doing damage to me anymore. So I've already broken the first world. And it's designed that way. And I love it because you're soloing it, right? And the next step is then to get So you get the king's armor, and then you get the king's sword, and you get the king's shield, and all three of them you're supposed to give to a statue to get an orb to progress. When you put it on the statue, you never get them again. And the king's sword is like unlimited uses, and the shield completely fully protects you from everything when you use it. So most OP items for like half the game, so you can grind and build some levels, or buy some potions to make yourself stronger before you start going and progressing throughout the world. And so you buy up everything that you need to buy: the gold, the better armor, or sorry, the better weapons, and then you go and drop off the stuff on the statue, and then you have to fight a boss. To fucking cream the boss and then progress. But I really like that.
What's the purpose of the statue? Like, so you don't get duplicate items or something?
So the statue is in like one of the original towns, and before it had the armor, the sword, and the shield. But then there's three different kings of the land took. One took the sword, who is all about like fighting. The other one took the armor, and the other one took the shield. And so the one who took the armor, I was interested in this monster girl, which is kind of weird. I don't know why humans and monsters are intermixing, but so he'll give you the armor if you convince the girl to marry him, but she won't marry him because the Bandit King wants to marry her. So she's more afraid of the Bandit King than the king. So it's very basic, but if you try to go, even with your team of 4, to take on the king of the sword, like he has like a fortress with tons of enemies that are with lots of enemies. So it's not just one-on-one. You're not taking on like 3 different enemies. And then you have like a number, so that you could not just have one enemy, but you could have like a stack of enemies. So I could take on like 3 Red Bulls. And then the thing is, if you attack with a sword, you only attack the first one. But there are weapon abilities like magic that will attack the entire group. And then you can this is what the best part about this game is. You get fucking submachine guns, and you can get like a bazooka and grenades and shit. Like this is amazing. This is why I love this game, is because it's not just your basic sword and magic. There's a fucking machine gun in it.
It seems like Final Fantasy, even like especially modern day Final Fantasy, does lean on that, combining like this old medieval like sword technology with modern day stuff. And there was that modern one that came out where like you drive around in a car like fighting monsters. And it's interesting that they drop in these like super modern elements that wouldn't really be part of the world, but I guess that's part of the style, like the story of the series, is that there's all these like just a mix of things you like, weapons you wouldn't expect it doesn't really follow any one set of rules.
Yeah, like 6 has a train, and it has one airship, 2 airships total actually, and you have access to them both, of course. And there's a castle that moves underground and goes underwater and shit. But there were no cars. There were chocobos, which are like a bird that you ride. So yeah, I don't remember Final Fantasy VI
Maybe
having.
they vary. Maybe every so often, like they keep it fresh. Like every so many versions, they sort of stray a bit and they introduce something like out of left field, and then they take it away and go back to like the core story or something.
Well, the Legends has the guns and the monsters, which is neat. Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4. I remember 6 having guns. I remember it being swords and magic, and like other weapons, like claws or whatever. But yeah, I don't remember there being.
There's a series called like Final Fantasy Tactics also. I never played one, but I was kind of interested in that format. It was more like like the map is a bunch of squares and you're directing units like around the map to attack. Like the whole like the whole game is just like one sort of level or a series of like battles that like you advance on the enemy like over a map, and different units engage each other if they're like close together and you're trying to like take over territory or something.
Never played it, but I've seen it
Yeah.
briefly.
The art style, or like the way, like the art style and the layout of the map appeals to me, where everything's like you can sort of at a glance you can tell like the shape of the battle, and you can sort of think about like positioning things where you want.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll play that game, actually. Yeah. I played some other tactics games before, and I did enjoy them.
So do you win the game when you put those three items back on the statue?
Well, now you have to take on the boss, and then you get an orb, and then the orb breaks when you use it. The sphere breaks the seal to the door. So the base town where you start is there's like a tower that connects different worlds together. It's like interdimensional or something. So as you go up this tower, you get connected to another platform, another multiverse or another world or something. I would say multiverse because I don't see multiple layers of Earth. Doesn't make any sense. So yeah, as you go up this tower, there's like mini worlds that don't really matter. They're just kind of interesting. Like one's like of four different characters that are torturing themselves, and there's like a bunch of gargoyle like torturers, and there's no reason for it. It doesn't make any sense. They're just in this world and they want to be tortured by these gargoyles, and you go around and you start fighting the gargoyles. And the next world, the second official world, is the water world, which, yeah, it's neat. You end up going underwater and fighting a sea dragon. And the third world was what was the third world? The sky world. So you're like floating on clouds, and you get an airship, and you start zipping around. And the last world's my favorite. It's like the world of ruin. So like industrial, but like it got hit by a bomb. Everything's like kind of destroyed, and people are like just trying to survive. And every time you take a step, this boss monster, flying monster, attacks you, and it just fucks you up. Like it's just nasty. Every step or every other step you take, it will attack you, and you have to run away. And it has a force field, so the entire reason to be in that world is you need to kill this monster in order to get the spear and move on. So it's sort of like the guardian to the next world, also overpowered with a shield. So there's like a nuclear power plant, atomic power plant, as they call it, that you can't get access to unless you go through the sewers. But you have to like run around and collect different parts in order to build a device called the Eraser 99 to take out this shield, to take out this thing. So there's a resistance group that's trying to take out this bird because the bird it's just wrecking havoc on everything. I mean, people can't move around, they can't rebuild because this thing just comes and destroys them. And so you have to travel underground through these underground tunnels that are all fucked up. It was like it used to be a subway, but the tracks are all destroyed, but you're traveling underground. And again, this is like top down pixel 2-dimensional, like, but you just like you let your imagination start filling in some of it too. It's really neat.
Yeah.
Eventually you join this resistance group, and they give you a hover bike, and now you're kind of able to outpace the bird, so you can travel just a little bit. You can travel actually a lot more, but the bird eventually will catch up with you and attack you randomly. And yeah, so it's like you get future technology now. You went from like a glider. Oh, and there was a floating castle in the third one too. And now you're in like future with a future technology, and yeah, just it's really good, really good.
Yeah, there's something that I like is when like the art of something is minimalist and it lets you fill in like a lot of information with your own creativity, and it like the information that is there is like exactly spot on. Like they've done so much with what little they had or whatever, like little, and then it allows you to like really get into it and just resonate a lot with such little, if they're just providing like a little bit of information about the world, but everything kind of points in the same direction, then you really can fill in the gaps like easily, and uh, it creates like an immersion that even if you had like super good graphics, if things don't are not like cohesive together, then the world doesn't feel like a real place. But it does it something like it's like the less information you give people, the more powerful it can be. That's what I feel if you give them like the right bit of information.
Yeah, and when you're saying that, it reminds me of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, those are
whole,
that's a
actually, the
whole
original,
interesting series. Yeah.
the
Yeah, I had a
original.
friend that went back and played like some of the original ones. Like me and him played Elden Ring, and that was kind of like it's like a Dark Souls game, but it's easier than they usually are, and so it got a wider audience, and a lot of people got into it, and then it triggered my friend to like go back and play like a lot of the harder, like the super hard ones when they were
Yeah,
like really true to form or something.
like linear and more cryptic too. Well, I found Elden
Yeah.
Ring was kind of cryptic as well. But they're all cryptic. Like
Yeah.
there's like bits and pieces of story, and you're trying to like paste it together. But yeah, the Dark Souls games are, you're really trying to like figure out what's going on with the story, and you read the item descriptions, and you kind of can paste it together. But yeah, the first
Yeah.
one, like there are people that actually like YouTube channels that talk about the lore. Like they kind of create the lore, filling in the blanks using item descriptions, and they kind of paste things together, which is cool.
Hmm.
But yeah, my buddy Thomas is playing Dark Souls 1 right now, and so I'm like, I'm parachuting in and helping him out when he gets stuck, because I have like every item in the game and access to everywhere. So I help out, and it's nice too because like I enjoy. So I did the grinding and all that stuff beforehand, and it's just nice to revisit the game, but not get my ass handed to me. And I still die, even though my characters are mega overpowered. Gravity can still kill me, and sometimes I get ganged up on and still get killed. And I appreciate that. It's like, so even when you're like godlike strength, you can still get your ass kicked if you fuck
Hmm.
around too much.
Yeah, it's like speaks to the game's balance basically. If you can be such a wide range of like experience as a player, and still there's like a challenge for you if you're not careful or something.
hmm So like what I do is to challenge myself. I'll do very low level characters, like a level 1 pyromancer build, for instance, and you try to beat the game on level 1. You have to get very creative
Without
because
leveling up.
yeah. So your souls, they're your experience points and your currency. So instead of leveling up, you just put everything into your items and upgrade your items. If you didn't upgrade your items, you wouldn't get anywhere. I mean, I'm sure there's people that try to beat the game punching shit, but no, I don't. It's all about being super offensive. You want to be able to one shot or two shot things quickly so they don't annihilate you, because you don't have a lot of hit points
Yeah.
when you're level 1. So Pyromancer comes with a couple Pyromancer spells, but the thing is, you can upgrade your Pyromancer hand using souls once you find the guy that lets you do that. And so you can start pouring in all your resources into your weapons and then eventually your armor. But the thing is, that game I like because if you're low level and you have what's called humanity, So if you have 99 humanity, it adds a shit ton of base defense to you. Like the humanity strengthens your core or something.
How do you
But
get
when you
that?
level up, you find them, and they're rare. And when you die twice, you lose them all forever. So you can find them, and they're in your inventory. And then when you cash them in by like crushing them, you'll get one humanity added to your number thing. You have like a dial.
And the dying thing is
So
like when you die, you drop it, so you have to go retrieve it before dying the second time.
again, yeah, and you'll lose your souls and your humanity. So you lose all your power. So humanity is actually strength in that game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's not like that in the second one. In the second one, if you die repeatedly without coming back or using an effigy, you lose hit points. That's it. This game, the first one, actually gives you more defense and also item find and curse resistance. So it just makes you more tanky, having more humanity. But again, they're really rare. So when you start collecting them all through the game and you cash them in as soon as you get them, you get more and more defense, and then you put more resources into your armor. Yeah, you can take on the final boss. You can level up and actually take on the final boss. It's pretty cool. Now, the one fucker called the Four Kings, I throw on a completely different set of armor called Havels. And then I use what's called Elizabeth Mushroom, which I get from the DLC. And that just regens my hit points. So this thing, like it's like all magic attack. His sword's magic, everything he does is magic. And Havels is the tankiest armor. So most poise, most magic defense, because it's made out of fucking stone. Havel hates mages, by the way. That's his backstory. So he literally carved out stone for his armor to be able to take magic. And he has like a stone shield, which you can't wield at level 1. You need to be level 50. You have to have 50 strength to wield that shield. So you put on this armor, you use this magic, or this mushroom, and then you just go in there with your little fucking axe, and you just, and your upgraded Parmensi, and you just take this fucking godly king thing on, just beat the shit out of it as it's beating you up, right? And you just hope that your mushroom doesn't run out when it's attacking you. So it's, even though you're fully stacked and you go into this thing, it could still fuck you up. So
Yeah.
yeah, and if you take too long to kill it, more kings will appear. So you can have 3 bosses on you at the same time, just annihilating you. So you have to kill it quick. So there's a timer.
Yeah, a lot of time limited items and time like engagements. Yeah,
Yeah, like
it's
Elizabeth Mushroom is rare too. So
it's interesting how like you be in the right mindset. Like even sometimes in Elden Ring, like I didn't realize like, the ways the game was like offering to challenge me. Like it seemed like, as so many games, like a classic game, you know, like you get to a certain power level and then you can't really, like you just, when you're more powerful than a thing, you can just like beat it. But there's so much like time limited items or like special like special items that will help, that like if you have a sword you can beat this one guy but you need like a bow to beat the other guy, and like you need to customize like your loadout to fight certain bosses, and some are like optional, and it's like none of that is really like told to the player. They just kind of like, you know, if you read about it on the internet, people will like explain that this type of game will challenge you like in these ways. But it's weird when like just all of a sudden like you die and you're kind of like, you sort of feel like lost a bit, or like you don't really understand what's expected of you. And there's a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of like giving the game the benefit of the doubt that like this will be a fun game if I just go with it and do whatever it wants me to do. And even if that's like there's like a level of punishment involved, which is kind of interesting. Just that like you don't even know it. Like it's such a strange thing to think that like you go into a game and you want it to be like really hard and punishing, and no one, I feel like a lot of people would not just by chance like expect that of a game. But definitely like any Dark Souls game, it like does that without asking you first, you know, and then you
Yeah,
just kind of
no,
yeah, you
you don't
just
get to select your
react to it. Yeah,
difficulty. There's one
yeah,
difficulty. Now, the class you select at the beginning of the game determines,
mm,
how much of a hard time you're going to have. You pick a mage over deprived in Elden Ring. Like, deprived is the way to go. You get the best bang for your buck for levels because you start off level 1, but you got 10 across the board. So you can get more levels into your character and have more stats than the other classes. But if you pick like a fucking magic guy, like you're already OP. Game magic's OP. It's always been that way. That's why I love like the one-shot magic builds. And that's what I did. My first build, I just picked the scholar or the astronomer and put everything into intelligence and just like trying to one-shot everything.
yeah.
Yeah, it's excuse me. Yeah, one level of difficulty, and everything in the game is trying to kill you. Even the fucking goats are after you. The rams, they come after you. It's funny.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder sometimes why, like, they've made such a cool world with Elden Ring. Why not just take that same world and then build a couple more games set in that universe, like different styles of different genres of game? Because you could really get like a lot of use out of that, just the geometry of the world. Like, just make like a first person shooter in it, make like a walking simulator, make like a puzzle game. Just put a like just change up like the mechanics and the stats and everything, and just use the same world, and just let people experience that same world in a couple different ways. It's weird how they always tend to like build like a brand new world for a game and then make it like one type of game. They never there's
So
not a lot of reuse.
so with Elden Ring, they can do that, and they can keep expanding too, which is neat. Because that map can just
Oh,
grow
yeah.
and grow and grow and grow and grow, no problem.
Has there
Right? There's
there's like at least one DLC has came out, I think. I didn't look at it.
just the PvP arenas.
Uh,
Yeah, the arenas were already there, but you couldn't. You kind of don't know what they're there for when you first started playing. But now, free upgrade let you go into these coliseums and fight each other instead of just the basic PvP. Now you can have like different setups, and you can have summons, and you can ride your horse. And I haven't done it
uh,
personally, uh, but yeah. So there's people that love that, but I'm not one of them. Like Dark Souls 3 had like a dedicated PvP thing going on.
yeah.
And I enjoyed that. I ranked up to gold. I had a character that just annihilated everything. Because that game's all about poise. So you get yourself a two-handed heavy attack weapon. There's a couple that come to mind. And you can attack through your opponent. And if you can, like, the magic's okay, but like you would think, okay, go for the heaviest hitting magic. But no, in PvP, you want the fast casting defensive type. And you want to keep the enemy on the toe by like, so like there's a crystal soul mass, homing soul mass, there's different homing soul masses. I grabbed the fastest casting one. And because it's like instant cast. And then now the character, when it's rushing you, has to now like be on the defensive as soon as you cast this thing and be prepared to dodge, otherwise they get smoked. And the thing is, it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it staggers them just for a second, which allows you to be able to get your attack going. And once you attack, your poise activates. So then now you can start attacking through stuff. It's like when you're winding up to attack, then you get hit, and it can like stagger you or it can knock you off balance. So 3 is all about the poise, I think, in PvP. And 2, I don't know, 2 is like, in my mind, the best for PvP. There's just so many different weapons and armor mixtures and rings that I have a lot of fun in 2. I have seen so many crazy builds in that. I have one too that's pretty nasty. The god build pretty much. I'm almost immortal. But yeah, and I love 2. That game is all about that, like knowing how to maximize your stats for the level. For like 120 or whatever the PvP level is, you got to know how to optimize your character and be like have a dedicated build. So like you need a certain amount of agility because that affects your invincibility frames when you roll. If you don't have agility, then when you roll, you can still get hit, which is neat, which I like. But there's like a certain amount, and people have done like this technical analysis to be able to figure out invincibility, maximum or ideal invincibility frames for your level. So what you need to put in agility in order to actually not get your ass handed to you, which you don't know as a casual player. Like, you have to like seek out the information from these gurus. And one is just all about the fucking backstabs. Holy shit. Yeah, like you just need to know how to work the cameras and be able to get backstabbed on your opponent. That's what that game is. So about backstabs and parries, man. You have the most fucking OP build, backstabs will just melt through you.
Right. Yeah, they must have started with that, and now they've obviously like added more systems. But I guess before, I don't know if there was like what did Dark Souls 1 draw inspiration from? I don't know. I've heard a few other
Those
games
Demon
mentioned. I don't know if
Souls.
they like pre.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
Demon
I'm not even
Souls.
familiar. Yeah. I
I
guess
haven't played it yet.
yeah, if, like Demon Souls was before Dark Souls, and I guess they had some of the same mechanics.
Yeah, different. There's some differences though, from what I gathered. I'm waiting for
Oh yeah,
that
I
thing to
guess
go on
people say
sale.
Souls. People call them Souls-born games. I
Yeah,
guess
Soulsborne game.
if Souls is in the title, then I guess that makes sense.
But Elder Ring is still technically a Soulsborne game, and
Yeah.
that samurai game too, and Souls. Well,
Yeah, Sekiro.
Bloodborne. Bloodborne. So maybe that's why they put the Born in there because Bloodborne is also a Souls game.
Oh yeah.
So
Do you
now
ever
they need to
feel
call it.
discouraged though when you're like if you're playing these games and you die a bunch, like don't you feel discouraged? Does that ever
Oh
happen?
yeah, oh yeah.
But you
Taking
like
on
that
the
or
no nameless fucking king. Man, I spend a lot of time on that asshole. I get fucking aggravated, man. But it's just like I'm stubborn, so I'll pick a build and like I try to optimize that build, and that's it. That's that build. I don't, like so Thomas is he'll have different armor for different environments. He'll switch his armor up. He'll switch his rings up and use items to increase his like poison defense or his rot defense in Elden Ring. So he's very situational and flexible that way. And I'm like, fuck it, one build all the way through. So if I go magic, it's magic. If I go melee, it's melee. Like I'll pick something and I'll level it up, and that's it. And I will only use those spells. So I'm really rigid that way. Except, well, now I'm not. So I I don't do what he does with the items and stuff. I rarely use items. I'm gonna start looking at them to see which ones are powerful. But now I'm using like all different types of magic and enchantments. That's what they're called. Incantations. So I made a Kafka build. You ever heard of? You played Final Fantasy 6, no?
I've never played a Final Fantasy game actually.
Oh my God, play 6.
Yeah.
Play 6 and then play 7.
What?
You can play the
They're just on
original, but
PC?
might be. Pretty sure 6 is. I mean, I got it on my phone. It used to be Super Nintendo. The original 7, I think you can play on all PlayStation games, and I think you can. I wouldn't be surprised if it's on your phone too. The original 7. But yeah, like those two in my mind are the best stories. 6 is probably the best story ever. Best pixel game ever, hands down. Great music, great story, all about like friends coming together, and Kafka is the main villain in that game. And he starts off as like this magica knight, so he was like artificially. And there's a secret backstory to him. If you pay attention and you get the right characters in the second world, which I won't say any more about that world, but you get the right characters, you can kind of piece together Kafka's origins, and it's tragic. But he's fucking crazy. He's a lunatic, and he's just out for power, and he doesn't care about life or anything. He just wants to be the most powerful thing, and he gets what he wants. He's the only villain ever to acquire everything that they've ever wanted. He becomes a god, and I don't want to ruin the story for you, but I'll just say he becomes a god. Oh fuck, I'm kind of ruining it. But anyway, so he becomes all powerful. And your team, it's a legendary story. And I would love to talk about it if you do play it. I mean, if you're going to play any new game, I'd play that one. And I made a Kafka build, like max level Elden Ring build, and he has all the super powerful spells that actually some of them remind me of the Final Fantasy spells. So like I have a super powerful fire spell, lightning spell, ice spell. Then I have like Meteor, which is one of my favorites. I'm trying to figure out what an Ultima spell is going to be. So like if you play the Final Fantasy games, you'll see reoccurring themes like Behemoth or Bahamut. There's a Behemoth and then there's a Bahamut, which is a dragon. The Ultima spell, the Ultima weapon, Flare. Flare is actually in Final Fantasy Legends too. That's the most powerful spell in that game. But you'll notice these things. And I'm trying to find an Ultima weapon. Like an Ultima magic spell. And now I need to figure out a flare spell. I need a flare spell. But anyway, so yeah, Kafka uses all like the strongest magic in the game, right? And he's a beast. So I made a character and I customized his face to look like him. And I found armor that kind of reminds me of him. And it's half decent too. And he's like, okay, he's not like max level. He's level 500. I'm going to eventually get him to the max level. But level 500 is ridiculous in Elden Ring. And I'm just going around just melting shit. Just melting everything. Love
it's
it.
kind of cool how when there's flexibility to like express like an idea that you want, like the creativity to make a build that reminds you of something that's not directly related to the game, and you can still go at it and sort of like live the fantasy, like even though the game had no idea that was going to happen, but like the player can make it happen.
Well, I was bored of Elden Ring, right? I've done everything in it. I have 180 something hours on that one character alone, and I have a bunch of characters. I made a guts build too, which is like a strength, and yeah, he's mainly a strength build. But you know, guts are from Berserk anime. Maybe not, but he has like 4 versions of the greatsword that I rotate like very quickly. Like I can open the menu and swap super fast. So one has him using Bloodhound stuff. The other one is like the Major Resolve, or that like increases your next light attack by like 50%, which is pretty OP. Then I have like Giant Slayer, and then there's another one too. And then I also have the Rune Greatsword, which is like uses gravity magic and basically creates this wave of destruction in front of you. It's amazing for PvP. Because they see you have that and you cast it at them and they run one direction, right? And the second time you use it, you take off the targeting and you manually aim it at like 3 o'clock, the direction that they're going to run. So you cast it and they're running towards the wave and the wave fucking hits them. Oh, it's so funny. I love it. But yeah, no, like I was bored out of my mind, nothing else to do. And then I was going to create a new build, but I'm like, wait a minute, Kafka's endgame. And he has all the like super powerful spells. So I'm like, I took my main character who was death. He was all death magic and cold, and he used a scythe, and he was just a nasty, nasty character. and I transformed him into Kefka, and I'm making my second strongest character Death. So I'm gonna level him up to 500, and then Kafka's gonna be like 800 and something, like maximum level. It's gonna take me like a fucking week to do.
You
But I
should
love
make
that shit.
videos about this, or like
Yeah, I know. I
publish
love it.
this. Yeah,
But people are
you
gonna
can
be like,
get like
"How'd you get to
screen recordings.
level? How'd you get to level 800?" And everybody's gonna want to know how I got so powerful. And I don't want to give away my secrets because you're not
It's a
able
lot
to
of work.
just.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah,
work to
you're not.
make videos, but if there was an easier way to do it, it would be awesome to like share that stuff.
Yeah, it's like who would watch it?
If it was easy enough to make, though, it wouldn't even matter if anybody watched it. You could, without like thinking about it, you could sort of just like publish it. But today, though, you still have to like put thought into like getting the footage and all that stuff.
Not my thing. I think I'm just gonna do. If I'm gonna do anything, it's gonna be piano.
Yeah.
But yeah, not recording me. Uh, not me recording. Not recording my video game stuff. That's just for fun, right?
Yeah. And it's like so much work. It's not doesn't pay off in the end. But if it wasn't so much work, if it was automatic, that would be nice.
Yeah.
All good conversation. I'll put Final
Yeah,
Fantasy
man.
6 on my list. I don't know if I'll. Sometimes I have trouble like getting into games if they demand like too much of me, like reading or things like that. But I'll keep it in mind for if the right time arrives, then I'll play it and see. I just don't want to like get into it and then fall off if I don't feel in the right mindset.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a good story. I'm sure it will captivate you.
Yeah.
Now, there's also
Sometimes I
nostalgia
need to be
for.
like primed. Maybe I'll like watch like some videos explaining the story so that I know. I like to really like have a good idea of how I'm supposed to feel like in advance, and then when I go through the story, it's more enjoyable if I feel like I understand what's the world more. So I need to like
Mhm.
I actually need to like usually I need to like spoil stuff for myself, but I don't really mind about spoilers. I just want like a deeper understanding of stuff rather than to be like surprised by anything.
That's fair. Yeah, I kind of looked stuff up when I was trying to do my solo build for Final Fantasy Legend. I wanted to see like what character I should pick and which one I shouldn't pick, and yeah, human was the way to go. So like, yeah, I do look stuff up too, just so I don't have to figure out the hard way. Anyway, buddy, thanks for the chat, and talk to you next time.
Yeah. I'll see you next
Okay.
time.
All right, have a good
Bye.
night. Bye bye.